Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That is Jack. I am Conrad. This is the Footy 5. Once again, talking about who might manage at Spurs. We did this once before. The slide looked a lot like that, except we were talking about Antonio Conte. Now we are talking about Paulo Fonseca. Funny, it's Paulo Fonseca because he got let go by the new people at Roma in favor of
Jose Mourinho,
the former manager of
Tottenham. And it is quite funny that we have like the same slide, except for it's just a bit of an exchange there. I do enjoy that this is coming from Fabio Paratici, not from Levy. But what you were going to say?
No, and that's the interesting thing is because Paratici back in 2010 was the one who brought Conte to Juventus. Mm-hmm. He was at Juventus. Paratici was for 11 plus years. Yeah. Now the sporting director, or director of football, whatever they're calling it, at Spurs. So Levy saying, "Fine, you get hung out to dry on this one, not me. If this doesn't go well." But he has had a long managerial career, 2-3 years, had some success at Shakhtar, but has jumped around. Former center back, bounced up and down between top and second division. But I think idolizes Mourinho, coming from that Portuguese lineage of coaches. Mm-hmm. Looks at Guardiola as an inspiration to him. Plays kind of an attacking style. Figures the defense out. Is he exciting enough?
I feel like every manager is kind of like, I like Pep a lot. I like Jose Mourinho a lot. I think, look, it doesn't have to be exciting if it is grounded in actual footballing principles. And I think Fonseca could work, and I think Paratici will work even beyond Fonseca. Having someone at Juventus who has won titles for many, many years, like when he brought in Conte, it was 9 in a row for Juventus league titles between 2011 and 2020. Yeah. With the only exception being Inter that knocked him off. And he tried to bring in Conte, but there were clashes there. So I think having a better footballing mind at the helm of things in Paratici is going to be a big deal. And so Fonseca, he was victim at Roma to poor recruitment because
he inherited a dumpster fire.
Monchi comes in as director of football. He was director of football at Sevilla for 17 years, comes in 2017, spends a ton of money because they sold Salah, they sold Alisson, they spent over £200 million on players. And right when Fonseca comes in 2019, Monchi has just left, and they have just no talent. They had gone from finishing second in Serie A to barely scraping into the top 7, and Fonseca finishes a 5th and 7th. Don't look good on paper.
Well, he lost Totti, De Rossi, Strootman, Florenzi, Nainggolan. That's a lot of talent.
Yeah. He lost a lot of consistency, a lot of the lifeblood of that side. And he wasn't let go because terrible performances, terrible placements. It wasn't good, but the new ownership, as you mentioned, wanted to bring in Jose Mourinho.
By Jose Mourinho.
Yes, they wanted to bring in the guy now versus maybe the future Jose Mourinho, Fonseca.
But what's missing from our Fabrizio Romano tweet?
Here we go.
So it could still fall apart.
Yeah.
I doubt it will. I think he is not going to have the same level of demand that Conte did in terms of reshaping the squad and wanting to have a hand in that. He's going to let that to...
Because he can't walk in and demand that.
I don't think so.
Paratici...
He doesn't have the track record.
Yeah, Paratici and Fonseca could be successful, and I think it's such an interesting track record. These only last 5 stints. He was at Pacos Ferreira even before Porto for a season. So he's got a wide diversity of experience. So you can't fault him for being around for a long, long time. He left his playing career and immediately went into management in 2007. So
what's interesting, he didn't even think about going into management until he got exposed to some different managerial styles, about thinking about the tactical side of it as the game progressed from the really, really physical, just out physical the other team, to the game within the game. Yeah. And that's when he got really interested in managerial options.
I think he's an interesting option. I mean, we can't claim to be big Roma experts. Know a ton about them. Their play style.
Sweet shirt, though.
Yeah, very nice kits, usually. That's one of the biggest things we know about them. I have a Roma kit.
You do?
Not here, obviously. I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic for Spurs fans. I mean, if you look at his trophies he's won, they're not at the level of Conte, because you have 3 Ukrainian Premier Leagues, which aren't the most glowing.
So he's winning.
He's won trophies. Yeah. He knows what it takes to win league titles, win domestic cups. Made some decent runs in the Champions League once or twice with Shakhtar Donetsk. So, you know what? It could work out. A question I think is going to be Harry Kane. I don't think he stays for Fonseca. He would have stayed for Conte. But if Fonseca gets the chance...
Does he have to stay for Fonseca, or does he have to stay for the director of football? Like, knowing that he's going to bring support
I
him.
don't think Harry Kane stays for director of football. I don't think he does because
You got to sell him a philosophy. Got to sell him a plan.
yeah, I mean, but the thing is, I think Fonseca could benefit from selling Kane and just hit the reset button, get rid of the old culture under Pochettino. And I think Fonseca, in my eyes, is that step. Conte would have been trying to squeeze the last ounce out of this Pochettino group. Versus Fonseca, they may be prepared to hit the reset button with Paratici to build it again, with Kane to be the lifeblood of him going to Manchester City, Manchester United elsewhere, Chelsea, and getting you the money required to just upend this squad top to bottom.
So who takes the heat from Spurs supporters? Is it Paratici? Daniel Levy doesn't want any more heat.
They're new guys. I mean,
Fonseca, but you're not getting the sexy name. If you're a Spurs fan, how do you feel about Fonseca? I have no idea, right? If you're just going to buy into the project, right? And I don't know what Paratici is going to start to do publicly. He's got to put a plan out there, put some kind of statement about the future of Harry Kane, who's going to be wrapped up in the Euros. Check out our Euro coverage, by the way. Subscribe. It's pretty funny. It's going to be good. He's going to be wrapped up in the next month. He's not going to get sold. So
I really don't know what to expect for Spurs. And I don't think even Paratici knows because their entire plan this summer revolves around Harry Kane because they're not going to be flush with cash to be spending on new players. I forget his first name, but Thuram from Mönchengladbach, I believe, in Germany, close to reportedly signing him as a forward option. Would be a very good signing. Wouldn't be a Kane replacement necessarily, but be a strong start to the summer. Spurs need a lot. Their defense,
3 years from a Champions League final,
yeah,
and a top couple, successive top 4 finishes.
I personally, if what I would do is, as much as it would hurt as a Spurs fan, and as logically you want to have the best players possible, I think the thing you have to do is you have to hit the reset button on that old squad. Bring in Fonseca, back him with a few new players in some key positions, some fresh life. Move out the likes of Kane, Bale, Dele Alli. The defense needs to be completely reshaped. There are some good pieces in that squad. You can build around Son and Ndombele, Højbjerg, Lo Celso, maybe Reguilon Doherty. There are some pieces, but it needs some serious refreshment because it's gotten very stale. And I don't think Harry Kane wants to stay in that, and I don't think it's good for him to stay in that because when we look at Harry Kane's career and we look back on it, it will be a career of – we will remember him because he scored so many goals, but that's all we will remember him for, scoring goals in meaningless matches
titles,
at the end.
No trophies.
Has not won a trophy in his career. And
most prolific scorer for Spurs, though,
yeah,
right?
I think it's very, very interesting. What this doesn't have the reputation, doesn't have the wow factor that Conte would have.
Which I think gives him a lot of credibility in the room, is he's going to be able to just hustle and get these guys on his side.
But I think it's going to be at least leave them with their options wide open. Under Conte, he would have said it, we're keeping Harry Kane. Fonseca is kind of just, I trust you, Paratici. I wasn't your probably number one guy, but I'm here, and I'm ready to prove myself. So I think it's a chance for Spurs to do things right and try and prove them wrong. But again, there is a big sense of who when you see that Fonseca is your guy.
I think that's why I like the hire if it happens, because he will have the opportunity to prove himself to the players, to the supporters, to the club. Does he have to worry about Daniel Levy? No, I don't think he does. And I think it's just going to be him and Paratici trying to figure this thing out and put the best squad on the field. This is going to be a 3-year contract they're talking about, right? So
and that's kind of, they're married together in that sense. Paratici and Fonseca, they're going to go up or they're going to go down in a blaze of glory. And again, options are wide open, which I think is the most exciting thing for Spurs fans. Keeping Kane and trying to retool around him, or selling Kane and just rebuilding your entire squad. Everything's wide open because Paratici is a better footballing mind than Levy, and I think Fonseca has the ability to be adapting to that. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'm cautiously optimistic. I imagine they're not going to be a top 6 side next season until I see transfers, because there's just too many variables and too little credibility in Fonseca in that sense.
I think sooner or later Spurs have to stop becoming a project and start becoming a perennial winning side and win some trophies. Yeah. They've been a project for quite some time now and showed a lot of promise under the Pochettino years, regressed, I think, substantially under the Mourinho time. And I think now, as to your point, rebuild that strong foundation on the backs of what you have. Build with the money from Harry Kane's sale, go forward. That'll do it for us looking at Paulo Fonseca, Jack, Conrad. This has been the 45. Please let us know what you think in the comments. Do like, subscribe. Look for us on the Twitter and check out our Euro content. Starts this Friday. Take care now.